Right, let's cross live to Kaduna now and speak to our correspondent Nissi Gabriel, whom you just heard in that, giving us that report. Nissi Gabriel, thank you so much for joining us. You've been on this since it broke on March 7, and these kids have now been released, thankfully, 137 of them. Tell us about, the general atmosphere, especially, of course, the communities, the parents. What are you hearing?
Thank you for having me. It's been a busy day here in Kaduna State. The families of these released school children are happy. The mood here in Kaduna State is a jubilant one. People are happy to hear that these school children have been released, and in no distant time they will be reunited with their family. So generally, Kaduna State are in a happy mood. That's the mood here in Kaduna State.
And stretch it, expanded, that is, looking at the children there, one wonders what exactly would be going through the minds of those children. The governor has been speaking, but again, tell us, if you will, if there are plans to actually see to the mental health of these children as well as the teachers.
Yes, the governor was on the network a few minutes ago, and he did say that. He said he is not going to release these school children to their family any moment. Reason being that these school children have to undergo psychosocial therapy. They have to ensure that they are okay mentally, physically, and like you heard in that report, the commanding officer of one DIV did said that 6 of these students are hospitalized. They are currently in a medical facility receiving treatment. So a lot has to be done to ensure that these children are in a good state before they are being released to the families.
Nissi, 2 questions that I have to raise with you. The 6 said to be in hospital. Do we know how serious or otherwise their conditions are? And any measures to in place, extra security in the schools that are considered to be vulnerable to these attacks? It looks like Nissi did not hear my question. Nissi Gabriel, Nissi, if you can hear me, can you confirm that you can hear me? All right, it looks like we've lost... oh, he can? Okay, great. So I was asking Nissi, number one, more importantly, in terms of long-term, plans to ensure that these abductions don't happen within Kaduna State. Any plans to put in place, strong or strengthened measures to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Yes, that plan is vigorously in place, I can tell you that, because only just yesterday the Kaduna State governor received over 200 IGP Special Intervention Squad deployed here to Kaduna and 2 APCs. And the reason their job is just to ensure that such incidents do not happen again. And also the governor did say that he is making efforts, frantic efforts, to see that fences are erected in most public schools here in Kaduna State that do not have perimeter fence. So these are some of the measures that are on ground in place to ensure that such incidents do not repeat itself. Now back to the figure. I heard Suleiman asking about the discrepancy in number before the line dropped a few minutes ago. Well, how did the million-dollar question on the lip of many is, how did the number 287 come about? Now, let's walk down memory lane a bit. Recall that on March 7th, the day of that incident, the governor, alongside senior government officials, rushed down to Kuriga, and journalists were fortunate to be part of that team. When we went there, and don't forget, Kuriga is a difficult terrain. It's a town where there's no service. You can hardly make calls or reach or use your telephone there. So when we got there, the first point of call was to the Seriki house, more like the chief of that town. And there the governor met with members of the community, and there he also saw a school teacher who narrowly escaped that incident. Let's take a listen to that school teacher when he was narrating that incident to the governor.
It was when we came back from that pursuit that we briefed the village head and we started making efforts to know the actual number of pupils and teachers taken away by the bandits. At GSS Kuriga, 187 students are presently missing. In the primary school, 125 pupils were initially missing, but 25 of them escaped and returned home.
Yeah, we just heard the school teacher. So it is believed that he is a good source to quote, because as a school teacher there, from what he said, they did their head count and other stuff, and they arrived at that figure. So that was what journalists went out with, because the school teacher who narrowly escaped said 287 students, school children, were kidnapped at that moment. But let's fast forward a bit. Sources privy to this incident and sources in the government house say it is the statement the school teacher made was too quick, because it takes about 4 days or even 5 days to do a proper head count, to go through the school register, to know the actual number of persons that are missing. And according to them, that is what they were able to do. And that was why the defense headquarters arrived, pushed out that statement saying 137 persons were school children were abducted and 137 school children were released. And don't forget, according to the GOC1 division, he said the number of persons actually kidnapped was 138. But unfortunately, that school teacher died in captivity. So bringing the number down to 137.
Unfortunate.
Nissi, now we're talking about the time lap or gap. Perhaps some of the big concerns for Nigerians. Now you're the man there. Help us make sense of the concern of Nigerians asking, when these children return, as quickly as we see them, they're donned in some uniforms, and people have been asking questions how well we know when to get these clothing for these people
uniforms,
spot on, because it's putting some kind of question marks on the minds of many Nigerians who are watching how and when we receive the children.
Well, I think the government officials will be in the best position to answer that question, because it was shocking to see too. But, well, due to the urgency of this issue, and I want to also believe that those in government already had prior knowledge that these children would be released. And also, my sources did tell me that these students were actually released in batches. So it's not as if the whole 137 of them came out at once. According to my source, they were released in batches. So I want to believe that the government officials had a prior knowledge of something like this, and they had to plan, they had to prepare for an event like this. But, well, for the looks, it looks too quick. It looks as if they already had this planned out already. But that is what it is, and that was what we saw. But like I said earlier, I think the government officials will be in the best position to give an answer to that question.
You can say that again, and that also raises the other question that Nigerians are asking. Was this a release or a rescue? This abductees or the kidnapped victims, were they released in every sense of it, or they were rescued?
Well, as a journalist too, I also asked myself that question, and I also put that question out to the relevant officials here in Kaduna State. Because recall, the statement put out by the governor, that statement, the word released was used. And when you look at the statement put out by the defense headquarters, the word rescue was used. So, well, just like the governor said, he didn't bother to ask the army that question if ransom was paid or not. And also, like a statement put out by the federal government, they said no ransom was paid. Well, that's what they are telling us, and that's what we know for now. But, well, the important thing, like the governor said, is that these children are out, and Kaduna State is in the jubilant mood.
Absolutely. Nissi Gabriel, we'll have to say thank you very much for keeping an eye on these developments for us.